Gene Lawson. Well, I started out as a fireman, and it was 7 years after I hired out. That's in August 15th of 1950. And then I, of course, had a slack time, and about 2 years later, and I was on the section, just going like, once you get used to it, it's okay. And it paid pretty good, but I was always glad to go back, because I never really considered my being an engineer as work. I considered it an adventure, just nothing but an adventure. And then I went on and worked steadier and steadier, and until I got working steady in the early '60s. I was an engineer most of the time, and then of course I worked for, let's see, it was 10 full years. No, not more than that. It was almost 30. And but anyway, after I think it was March 15th of 1980, I had 29 years and, I don't know, not quite 6 months. And then, but when I got my claim, I had a claim from the railroad. It took some doing to get it, but I was with the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers, Secretary-Treasurer. Well, in their all of their information they had was all about how to claim that from the railroad. And I was able to pick up 6 years, full pay, and then interest. They even paid interest for having to wait until they went through bankruptcy, and it took 5 years, 8 months, 1 week, and 1 day, and then I got the settlement, and so I was lucky. I came out like as if I had a job for nearly 35 years. So, but I missed the railroad.
You said?
I would have much rather it kept going, but since there was nothing else I could do, why I did it.
You said you liked the adventure of it?
Oh yeah.
Are there any specific adventures that you remember?
Well, everything was an adventure. I worked on every branch line that they had. I worked on passenger for one of the best engineers that Milwaukee had, R.G. Crane, and it was just a pleasure to work with him. I spent part of a summer on that, and he was always right on time. You could set your clock to it. And then of course I worked on steam on the branch lines. And luckily, it went up until 1954 in about the middle of June. And I worked on the Hanford line on steam. I worked on the Moses Lake line. I worked on the wheat line. Marcellus was the last station on that wheat line. Then I worked on, there's a branch line that goes up north of Spokane. And it was Medaling Falls. Then I worked on the Plummer Junction turn. And they took down freight from for the main line train to pick up, going either way, east or west. And then I worked on the, it was called the Elk River line. That's out of St. Mary's. And I worked on that for a couple of weeks. Then I worked on the Avery Logger. And of course they were getting dieselized by then. And so it covered everything. And but then toward the last, I worked on the out of Cle Elum Depot. This depot here was my home terminal. And then Othello. And then I did work some at Malden. They worked both ways, east and west. And but then in the later years, I worked out of here all the time.
Do you have any memorable moments from the Cle Elum train depot?
For the Cle Elum?
Yeah, right here.
Oh yeah, I liked it.
Anything that sticks out in your mind?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good.
Are there any shipments that stick out in your mind? That any particularly exciting rides?
Well, there's something I did. I was out on the road, and it was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and we were up to near the top of the hill from, we go over the Columbia River Bridge and up a 2.2% grade. And we were within probably, not much over half a mile from Boylston Tunnel. Well, here at night, I thought I'm gonna just blow the whistle. I see it was an owl. It was sitting right over my side of the window, and so I blasted the horn right underneath of it. And I doubt if it had to go to the bathroom for a couple of days. There wasn't anything left in it. So my fireman got out and I said, would you mind too much to clean the window? So humbly, he did what I wanted. And so I told him, well, I guess I can't see for you know what. That's just one of those little stories that went along with that. I just did the best I could all the time, even though I did play a trick on the owl. That's what you call a dirty trick. Yeah. But they all treated me good. One time there was a young fireman, didn't like the idea that I switched to the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers. And I was secretary treasurer of the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers. And anyway, this one young guy was with the firemen, and he didn't like the idea that I should be in it. And so I never noticed it right away, but there was one of the young engineers that told me that this certain guy bashed in your windshield on your car. And it wasn't more than 2 days, and the superintendent who works out of Tacoma and on this division, and he told this young fella, you're going to pay for that out of your pocket. And he said, you got no business doing that, and don't ever let me catch you doing it again. And he was very nice to me. And they always did treat me real nice, like a family railroad. So I got a new windshield and never had any more trouble. That took care of that.